Hello, everyone. Welcome to This Day. I know this is kind of an odd one because, again, Michael's not here, but he will be back with us next week. I'm your host, Bree Cox Kennedy. It's Saturday, June 14th. Welcome back to the show. On our show today, we have OC Vector Control talking about those pesky little mosquitoes we all dislike very much. And then later on in the show, I've got Jonathan Adler with us from Concerned Citizens. He's going to be telling us about a 1964 Supreme Court ruling that some people are trying to overturn. So we look forward to talking with both of those guests. First, folks, we want to keep you informed. Explore the future of heart health. It's highly, highly important. Residents are invited to a compelling evening as Memorial Care Saddleback Medical Center presents Heart Sense, Wisdom, Wellness, and Expert Care. It's a community event, health lecture dedicated to the latest innovations in heart health. This is a free event and it will take place Monday, June 16th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at Clubhouse 2, located at 24112 Moulton Parkway. You can reserve your seat, or if you need some more information, visit memorialcare.org/LWHeart. Let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. I think summer is finally approaching. I just want these morning clouds to burn off. My car gets wet every day that I drive into work. Today we can expect a high of 79, maybe even pushing 80, but Sunday's going to be the star of our show. It's going to hit the stage with rising temperatures and a summer-like feel at 82 degrees. Lows will keep it cool at 61 degrees and then tapering off through Tuesday. This morning's sunrise was at 5:40 a.m. Sunset will be at 8:02. Has anybody had a chance to go see the Cirque du Soleil? Well, Judy Blanco has, and she sent in her photo, so we're very appreciative of that. This looks like a very interesting segment during that show. Get out there and see it while you can. I'd also love to see your photos. So please send those to us at Laguna Woods Village TV at gmail.com. Please send us your name, where the photo was taken, and in a horizontal format, please. No meetings to tell you about as it's Saturday, so when we come back from the break, OC Vector Control will be with us. Stay here. Welcome back to the show, everyone. I am talking about my least favorite subject today, mosquitoes. It's almost mosquito season here in Southern California, and quite frankly, a lot of places around the world. I'm so fortunate today. I have Brian Brannon from OC Vector Control with me today. He's going to give us some tips and pointers on how to keep ourselves safe and to prevent these little critters from breeding. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bree. I'm glad to be here.
It's nice to have you. You're coming in just on time.
Well, so are the mosquitoes.
Oh, gosh. Well, let's start off by telling our viewers, what is OC Vector Control?
So OC Vector Control long name, Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control District. We're a county agency, and our mission is to educate and protect the good people of Orange County from vectors and vector-borne diseases in an environmentally responsible manner. And we mean every word of that. Educate, first word, because we can't do it alone. We need people to be cognizant that the littlest bit of standing water can breed these ankle biters that we're seeing so much of. So we need everybody to kind of pitch in.
Absolutely. So help our viewers identify some of the sources, and as you mentioned, the stagnant water, places that we wouldn't even probably think of. You know, we just kind of, some water, it doesn't really matter. But it matters.
It matters. So we're used to the southern house mosquito, the Culex mosquitoes that bite at dawn and dusk.
Right.
We've had those for a long time. They're the ones that spread West Nile virus. They prefer larger sources, marshes, wetlands, drainage ditches, unmaintained swimming pools. And they're out there, and they're out there right now. So they kind of work in shifts. So these are the Culex mosquitoes that can spread West Nile virus. And we're starting to see a lot of them. Summer is just around the corner. This is when they take off. So they've been here, they've been established, and like I said, they prefer larger sources. And at OC Vector, we have inspectors that are assigned to areas throughout the county, so they know where all the specific breeding sources, the historic breeding sources are, and they'll take care of them just as part of their job and normally go there. As we get more toward fall, then we're going to see the ankle biters, the Aedes aegypti mosquitoes. These mosquitoes are very aggressive. They'll follow you right into your house.
Oh my gosh.
They will breed in your house. They will breed in a bottle cap full of standing water. So it's not as easy to track all the places that they can be. They'll breed in bromeliads in the leaves right there. They'll breed in plant saucer that you have for your nice vase on your nice table.
Right.
So we really need to be cognizant of all these things. Now, we're a county agency, so we will come out and do inspections for free. But as summer heats up, we're going to get super busy.
Brian, what's the lifespan of I know there's a lot of different breeds of mosquitoes, but a standard mosquito lifespan?
That's a good question. About a month, maybe 2, depending on the type of mosquito. They take about a week to develop in standing water. So you should go around your house at once a week, just dump out that water.
And also the fountains outside.
The fountains,
too, right?
there's products you can put in. There's a product called BTI. It's a naturally occurring soil bacteria. It only affects mosquitoes, flies, and gnats.
Oh,
you can put that in your fountain. It'll be good for 30, 45 days. Once a month, just put it in there. It doesn't matter what the water looks like. It'll prevent the larvae from becoming adults. So,
yeah, I've gotten bit a couple of times around my house, and due to my own fault, because I remember taking the garbage out once and I hadn't cleaned out my fountain, and I got bit. But, a lot of people are starting to travel this time of year. We don't have a ton of mosquitoes here, but I feel like whenever I go anywhere else in the world, right, I get bit so bad that I literally cannot leave my hotel room.
Yeah, that's a terrible aspect of travel.
What's going on around the world that there's so many mosquitoes and that nothing's being done about it, or that we know of?
Well, we're doing everything we can around the world, but they are out there. Mosquitoes have been around since the dinosaurs.
What is the purpose?
That's a good. They are pollinators, but they're not effective.
Well, I like
as other
hummingbirds a lot
pollinators.
better.
Yeah, right. But they have gotten better and better at what they've done over the years, right? So if you're traveling, you want to make sure to bring repellent. You want to make sure to have a room that has air conditioning so you can close the windows and the doors, or have a mosquito net. And whenever possible, and this is terrible, you're going to a tropical area, but long sleeves, light colors, loose fitting. So that's what we recommend. But a good repellent, something with 30% DEET, is most effective for these ankle biters, these Aedes aegypti here in Orange County and wherever you go now. One of the problems that we're seeing is people will travel to certain areas where certain diseases are prevalent, like dengue fever. So they go to South America, the Caribbean, Central America, Mexico, come back, they don't feel well. That's what we call a travel-related case of dengue. Now, if somebody is in the fever stage and they get bit by a mosquito here in Orange County, then that mosquito bites someone else, that's called local transmission, and that scares us. We are really looking out for that. There have been cases of locally transmitted dengue to the north of us in LA County, to the south of us in San Diego County, and once it's established, it's a bad thing.
Does that require hospitalization?
Yes, you should visit a doctor if as soon as you start to feel bad. There's 4 different serotypes of dengue, so the first time you get it, probably not so bad, and you can't say you get serotype 1, you get bit again with serotype 1, you have an immunity. But if you get bit within one of the other 3, that's when you can have more problems. So, but it's just the basic things that we have to do is just dump and drain that standing water, look for, yard drains. People don't think of those little drains that are in their yards. You just see a little thing. Mosquitoes will go right in there and they'll lay their eggs. So for that, you can just get some fine mesh and put it over there, and you'll just have to remember to wash it out every month or so.
Exactly, and like you say, these even these little plastic cups that we're seeing in the slides here. I mean, again, something that you wouldn't even normally pay much attention to, other than it's garbage, you should pick it up and throw it away. But it's amazing how they can use absolutely almost any drop of standing water to lay their larvae.
And they lay their eggs below, at, and above the water line. So those eggs there's different studies, stay viable for anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. So if you get more water all of a sudden, and then you can have more mosquitoes. So
oh my gosh.
those look like little pieces of black rice. You just gotta scrub them off if you see them, use a steel wool or something.
That's interesting to know.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the sterilization. I like this.
Okay, yeah.
Fighting mosquitoes with mosquitoes. Let's go.
All right. So this is a program that's been used for decades to fight fruit flies. So what they do is they separate the males from the females, and same process we're using. They'll put them through an X-ray machine, turn it up a little bit to sterilize the males. And then they'll chill them so that they can compact them and put them in an airplane, and they'll fly over these citrus fields or wherever there is a Mediterranean fruit fly problem, and they'll drop more males that are sterilized than unsterilized to outcompete with the females, thereby making much less larvae.
Why don't they sterilize the females? Aren't the females the ones that bite?
Yeah, but we don't want to release we don't want to release biting mosquitoes, right?
No.
People would be mad at us. So we release the males.
Well, I meant in terms
bite.
of sterilizing
the
females.
Well, no, because we want to get the ones out in the wild, right? So we want the males are the ones that are going to go mate with the females.
Right.
And so we don't have airplanes. We can't afford airplanes. We have buckets. And we have a pilot project going on in a neighborhood in Mission Viejo that has historically had issues with these ankle biters.
Yeah.
And so we've been doing some mark release recaptures where we release them and see how far they fly and how long they live, right? And so we're looking maybe into summer doing a full release. And that's about when the Aedes start becoming really active, those ankle biters. We're not going to see them too much now, but like I said, we're seeing the other ones. So they kind of tag team us.
Just can't get a break, can we?
No, we can't. But it's simple formula. We just got to find that water once a week, walk around your yard, look for it. If you have children or grandchildren, they're out there already. Teach them well, and because they'll find stuff that we wouldn't even think to look at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Brian, thank you so much for that education.
You're welcome.
Mosquito education.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're watching ThisDay on Village TV. Get your mosquito repellent out, everybody, and look in your yard for stagnant water. You're watching ThisDay. We'll be back after these messages.
At Pro Smiles OC, we believe your smile is more than just an expression, it's your confidence. Dr. Ivan Ho, board-certified cosmetic dentist in Orange County, has transformed thousands of smiles here in Laguna Woods. From dental implants to Invisalign and cosmetic dentistry, our team at Pro Smiles OC is devoted to restoring and enhancing the beauty of your smile using state-of-the-art procedures that result in long-lasting smiles. Visit our website to schedule an appointment or give us a call today.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Concerned Citizens hosts and New York Times investigative reporter David Enrich. Sounds very interesting, and I think you're going to want to know what goes on behind the scenes there. Here to give us all the details, we welcome Jonathan Adler to the show.
And thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you for coming. This book sounds highly intense, but before we get into your next meeting and book discussion, tell us a little bit about Concerned Citizens.
Well, Concerned Citizens was formed as a group in 1981. That makes us 44 years old, just about now. And it was originally called Concerned Citizens for Peace because it focused on the proliferation of nuclear weapons. And the purposes have expanded to include good government, economic and social justice, protection of the environment. And we do this in a monthly program, 2 programs actually per month, with a speaker and talking about issues and books and often lively discussion. So it's a group that is committed to those purposes.
Okay. How did you get involved personally? What was the draw for you?
Well, I arrived down here in what was then called Leisure World at the end of 2002, and I looked around and found a couple of groups that fit my things that I'd been involved in my career up until then, and sure enough, Concerned Citizens was one of them. And I must say that at the time, they had, and Leisure World had, what was called a discussion group. And people would come together once a week and sit around and talk about what the government should be doing, but doing nothing about making that happen.
Sure.
So before long, I said, well, let's transform the discussion group into an action group and start taking some action with our elected officials. And that became part of Concerned Citizens, and I was asked to and did become the chair of that, what we then called Legislative Action Committee.
Fantastic. So you've got a long-term involvement with it.
Yes, indeed. And, you know, the expression, tout ça change, tout c'est la même chose, everything changes, but everything is still the same.
Stays the same.
It's interesting. 20 some odd years later, we're still dealing with some of the same problems.
You know, Jonathan, they've talked about throughout my lifetime, it's always been the same problems. And it's interesting how just the decades come and go, but the problems are still the same. So let's talk about your book talk. This
Sure.
sounds very interesting. Murder, the Truth, Fear, and the First Amendment. Secret campaign to protect the powerful.
Well, I might have written a different title for the book, but what it suggests is the overriding issue about freedom of the press and the First Amendment and fear, frankly,
Right.
which is a case, a 1964 case. How could a Supreme Court decision in 1964 involving the New York Times and a Montgomery, Alabama police commissioner have become the pillar that protects freedom of the press and freedom of speech through the media and the press? That's what the book is all about, and particularly what have been the efforts to undermine and reverse that decision. So that's the focus of it. And I come to that from a perspective of civil liberties and freedom of the press. I was a law clerk to a California Supreme Court justice, and I directed a public interest law firm and founded a group of pro bono volunteer attorneys in New York, and its civil liberties program within that. So I've been involved in the First Amendment and freedom of the press and of speech for quite a while, and that's what I bring to this particular discussion.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that there's so much conflict trying to overturn that?
Because it does not serve the interests of those who would rather have the press not continue to be such a pillar of democracy and freedom, and causing trouble for public figures, who I shall not name at the moment, but it has been more convenient for people who would rather not be investigated, not reported on, and not have the media and the press reporting and investigating on public opinion, and therefore make it easier to sue and intimidate the media. And we see that, in today's headlines, right, where there's a lawsuit against CBS News for editing, an interview with Kamala Harris, and against ABC for George Stephanopoulos, using language of a judge in a New York criminal case that involved actually technically sexual assault, but I think he may have called rape, and a suit against a very respected Iowa pollster whose poll did not come out the way a candidate expected. So there's no merit to any of these lawsuits, but it's very costly to the media to defend them, and therefore they're very cautious about what they say and report, and really get into self-censorship. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, which is a big nut.
Oh my goodness, this is a broad topic to talk about. We could go on for days.
Yes.
So that's exciting that your guest, David Enrich, will be joining the group via Zoom. Is that correct?
Interactive Zoom, yes, he's zooming in, and he's able to see us and hear us, and we're able to see and hear him. So the Q&A will be interactive, yes.
Okay, and your meeting is Thursday, June 19th at 2 p.m. Now, is it...
In Clubhouse 1.
In Clubhouse 1. Jonathan, is it just the members of the club who can attend this event?
Any resident of Laguna Woods Village, any club, and their guests, and guests of guests. So it is, we'd like as many people as possible to be aware of, what he has found and what he's reported, which includes, by the way, a dissenting opinion of Justice Thomas, who really said, now the name of the case is New York Times versus Sullivan. And the basic rule, which I guess I haven't said yet, is that in a suit for defamation, when it's written, it's called libel. Rather than just the ordinary rules, when a public figure is involved, the plaintiff who claims to have been defamed has to prove actual malice. In other words, that the reporter knew that what was being reported was false or was recklessly disregarding what the truth was. And that rule has protected the media against a lot of lawsuits that would otherwise make them very timid and not serve the purposes of our founders. Madison and Jefferson, Madison and others have said that the First Amendment, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, is the basis for all other rights and issues and positions, because it allows democracy to operate. And that's what we'd like people to understand, the importance of it and the fact that it really is under threat. And the Supreme Court may very well be taking on a case that attacks New York Times versus Sullivan and makes it easier for the media and the press to be sued, therefore to be faced with the prospect of going financially bankrupt, spending themselves into oblivion, or paying a huge settlement, and therefore being very timid and cautious about what they report.
Wow. All right, Jonathan. Well, that was quite informative. I wish you a very successful speaker engagement. Again, Thursday, June 19th, 2 p.m., Clubhouse 1. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thanks for this opportunity to
Appreciate it.
invite people to attend.
Of course, of course. You're watching This Day on Village TV. We'll be back after these messages.
In all stages of life, you care for those you love. With Band-Aids on scuffed knees, with home-cooked meals, with tight hugs and whispered words of encouragement on their wedding day. And in this new stage, advanced funeral planning with O'Connor Mortuary is another way to say, I love you. Call or visit o'connormortuary.com to start your pre-plan today.
Welcome back to the show. Let's take a movie preview of tonight's movie, Peace, Love, and Misunderstanding. This looks like a really funny movie, guys. It's brought to us by Providence Mission Hospital. It's going to be shown 2 p.m. with subtitles, 6 p.m. without. It's about an uptight New York City lawyer who takes her 2 teenagers to her hippie's mother's farmhouse for a family vacation. Let's take another look at our weekend weather. Saturday's highs 79. Hopefully we're going to push 80, break through that barrier there. Sunday will definitely push through. So hopefully those summertime temperatures will get you out and about and get you on the golf course, tennis court, pickleball court, whatever fun activities you love to do. On Monday's show, we have Tai Chi and Garden Centers Club. So I'll be back with you then, and I look forward to it. And that's going to do it for this episode of This Day from all of us here. We wish yours a beautiful one.